There is always that one person within a family dynamic that is almost assigned the role to break generational curses.
Oh, it runs in the family. Yeah, okay, until it ran into me. Some of us were sent to end what everybody else avoided. You have to understand the dysfunction, the silence, the survival mindset, shrinking to keep peace. Like, I saw the trauma in my family and I made a choice that it stops here.
God forbid if you do better than your baby boomer parents, they'll have an attitude. You're allowed to do better, just not better than them.
Welcome back to the channel. You know what it is, chosen ones. We're talking about a new concept today. This is the generational theft, generational thief. This is the elderly generation who steals the generations below them. This is the currently Gen X, baby boomers. These are the ones who are stealing the generations of their children, their lineage. You never get a turn to become big mama. You never get a chance to be man of the house. And that's because the generations before you will not let go. And it's a form of destiny swapping or stifling. We need to have these conversations because we get fired up on social media when people are confronting their and calling out their loved ones and calling out what it is. You know, the gaslighting, the being pinched underneath the table. So this episode, we're going to introduce this concept talking about how it impacts you if you're a part of the chosen ones who have suffered generational curses and you're a generational curse breaker. Yeah, we're going to get right into it. Today's still pretty chill. Um, was that a light shining in the background? Let me fix this light real quick. Hold on. Okay, so we always talk about generational curses, and you're probably a generational curse breaker. So you already are tuned into, you know, the different vibes and zeitgeist of your family. That you check the temperature of people in your family, put it like that. So let's get right into it. So we're gonna talk about how generational theft is a concept and how it impacts you, because if you're a generational curse breaker like myself, then you understand there's people ahead of you, like the baby boomers, Gen X. You know, these are the ones who raise the millennials. And the millennials are also raising the zennials and whatnot. So we're kind of stifling the growth of the generation below us. And you're a victim of this more than likely from baby boomers. I listened to Spiritual Whistleblower, and she talks about calling out narcissistic family, her toxic story. You got to listen to it. And she was also saying baby boomers, they will hold you back because they were held back. So we're going to get into some content about generational curse breakers and what I think about the theft, the generational thieves. Okay, so this could be your toxic mom, stepmom, someone who wants to hold on to her youth. You know, she had her looks back in the days. She was able to bat her eyelashes and get what she wanted. She didn't have to have character. You know, it could be a man. He was just a town, town dingaling. Your daddy probably was a Rolling Stone. Okay, so it doesn't just have to be your mom or your dad. It could be granddad. Heck, it could be your ex, whoever it is. These examples are all around us. Okay, so the generational thief is the person who doesn't want to let you shine. You'll never become big mama. You'll never be able to be the mother of your own nest. You'll never be able. It's just you'll be aging in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you never get to graduate into womanhood. You're stifling your manhood. You never get to develop. And honestly, I'm gonna be real with you guys. The generational curse breakers, we all have to deal with this whether it's a blood or a teacher, someone was sent to distract your mission. Okay, it's just most common that it's family. Okay, so the generational thief, they, if you have like starting when you're a teenager, your special moments of making friendships, they're not supported. So if you need a ride to this social event, it's very disregarded. Like, you don't need a social life, and you very much do. We're social beings. So they disregard your need to be around the population and populate, to just understand social cues, social norms, develop a social um, aptitude, become gregarious. These words come to mind. Just to become a butterfly, it's absolutely necessary. And they suck all the fun out of life and development. They suck all the fun out of the growth. And it's always just work, 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 discipline, discipline, discipline. So as you become older, and it's time for you to develop into your looks, you want to go to prom, you don't get the support. Your beauty is not aided. So they figure, because your youth, that's enough. You don't need to have perfect, hygiene skills, hair grooming skills. Just your youth is enough. And that counterbalances their aging into elderliness. They're no longer a young woman. Women have now transitioned into, mature woman, middle-aged woman. This gets deep. So, like I said, I don't want to get too long-winded in the introduction. We have some videos we're going to react to. Let's get into the first one. This one says, the sensitive ones are the generational curse breakers.
There is always that one person within a family dynamic that is almost assigned the role to break generational curses. And that person is usually the sensitive person in the family, the very empathic person in the family. The person in the family that most people would regard as super sensitive, super emotional. The reason why those, family members are sensitive or emotional is because they are the ones that are challenged on a soul level to shift and break out of those generational curses. And if you don't believe in generational curses, it's the same thing as psychology in the sense of family systems. What happens to your mother, to your grandmother, to your father usually happens to the children in the family, and it goes on from generation to generation. So if you're that person in a family where you're the sensitive one, you look at certain things very deeply, you're more than likely assigned on a soul contract to be the one within the family to break out of that generational curse. And the first way of doing it is by literally acknowledging what's taking place in that family system.
One of the hardest things to do is to cut off family members. Sometimes we have toxic family members that we have no other choice than to cut them off. And you see that happening a lot these days. And I want to say this from both sides of it. For the person that has to set a boundary with family members, that is an extremely hard thing to do, because you have to literally cut off a person that you love. The reason you cut them off is because they won't stop hurting you. They won't acknowledge hurting you. And they just keep doing it. And you are left with no choice but to cut them off. And that is a very, very difficult thing to do. But it's necessary, and props to the people that do it. At that point, you're choosing your own health over the quote unquote family. On the other side of that, the people that get cut off, I want to say to you that I know that's hard too. When your family cuts you off, is very difficult. But just understand that those people have chosen to feel better than to be around whatever it is that you are doing or bringing. And a lot of times, people in this circumstance refuse to acknowledge the fact that they've hurt people. And I want to remind you guys, if you got a pulse, you've hurt people. All right, you got a pulse, check your pulse. You have hurt someone. So people will always say, well, I've never hurt anybody, I've never did anything. Well, clearly that person has a different story, and they're telling you that you are hurting.
And this is a form of gaslighting, where you're not acknowledging someone's pain. And this could be second hand gaslighting, where you're telling your story, you're a victim, and people are reacting to you telling a story rather than what actually happened to you. So you become criminalized for talking about it. But the people who actually did something, they get off the hook. No one makes a mention about it. I definitely want to get more into this. Let's get right into this. On the flip side of generational thieves, people who won't let you become a parent, people who put their hands on you in front of your children and talk to you crazy in front of your children, that type of person. Okay, people who butt in, you're going to also get this generational ASS whooping. Okay, if you really want to butt in, the thing is, it's so serious. They think you opening your mouth just to be opening your mouth. You're trying to survive. This is a battle cry. You are literally screaming at the top of your lungs that, look, something is wrong here. Little grown adults are on TikTok, Instagram, telling their stories, screaming as if the occurrence happened yesterday. Okay, we're gonna keep getting into this video. Anyways, I mentioned the generational thieves, people who are holding you back. Then you've got the people who instigate, the secondhand gaslighters, who will tell you you're wrong for talking about it. So here's the thing. All right, you screaming about it for a reason. It's obviously affecting you. So people think, oh, it's just cute. You just want to just talk. All right, come over here and get this generational ASS whooping. Come on over here. Because I guarantee you that's in the spirit realm. These covens, these warlocks, they all are going to hop on the next spirit. Next thing you know, your secret's going to be put out on Front Street. You don't want, see, a hit dog is always going to holler, okay? A hit dog is going to holler, meaning they ain't going to make a sound unless they got hit, okay? And a lot of the spiritual whistleblowers, the generational curse breakers, it's a lot of shots being fired, okay? Let's get into the rest of this video.
The most disrespectful thing you can do is ignore someone when they're telling you that you hurt them. That is extremely disrespectful. It's letting them know that you don't care. Further letting them know, oh, okay, I got to set a boundary with this person. I can't stay around this person. Whatever side of this coin you're on, all parties are being hurt. The person that set the boundaries, they're experiencing hurt. The person that gets the boundaries set against them are experiencing hurt. And it's a really, really sad circumstance. And the antidote to this circumstance is humility. It's apologizing. It's becoming aware of how you hurt people. And that doesn't mean the relationship is going to go back to normal, but those are steps that people have to take in order for it to get better. And hopefully y'all can get it together at some point in time. But if not, I wish peace and blessings on you all just as well.
He's being optimistic about it because that's not how people just tell you. And I'm not trying to be dismissive to Christians, but they tell you just pray, don't talk about it. And I'm gonna tell you, if it was that easy to just say one prayer, and a lot of the Christians are misinformed, miseducated, and then some of them are just backwards, wolves in sheep's clothing. And the thing is, once they realize that you just can't just say a prayer for these things to break off of you. Once you realize you can't just say a prayer for these things to break off of you. Okay, you are in this thick. It's generational. Okay, so people like you who feel this, you've probably said every prayer. You've probably tried to undo everything your parent did. So I think Northwest is a great example of this because she's the complete opposite of her mom. Like she knows what her mom is known for, and she wants to go in the opposite direction. So she wears the biggest clothes. You know, she goes for the opposite of attractiveness. Or if she doesn't want to, she knows she's a woman. She has like all girls in her family. So that's undeniable. But she still doesn't want to get that attention. She doesn't want to absorb her mother's notoriety. And that's a perfect example right there.
Oh, it runs in the family. Yeah, okay, until it ran into me. Some of us were sent to end what everybody else avoided. You have to understand the dysfunction, the silence, the survival mindset, shrinking to keep peace. Like, I saw the trauma in my family and I made a choice that it stops here. Love for family does not mean repeating the same cycles. Being chosen looks like rebellion to the comfortable. They'll talk about you because you started saying no when they used to just be like, oh, that's just how we are, right? You can heal and still honor them. Outgrow patterns without losing roots. Do not feel guilty for changing, okay? Yes, anxiety ran in the family, struggle ran in the family, broke relationships ran in the family, but when it ran into me, it meant peace, therapy, prayer, and discipline. I'm not perfect, I'm just different, and that's enough. So, therefore, yes, it ran in the family before it ran into me. It stops right here.
Yeah, we're gonna keep getting into this generational a whooping now. Let me tell you, it is so hard. It takes more than just prayer. Like I said, it's just because you pray doesn't mean it's gonna be broken off of you. Okay? Because when we look into what a generational curse is, it's something that's passed on the from the father to the son and even down to the grandchildren. The sins of the father we have to pay for is a slogan. So you got to be careful. The people who come against you, who criticize you for breaking the curses and speaking out, being vocal, helping others navigate through these complex feelings of going no contact and having to deal with the backlash because you got family who see you on social media and whatnot. So with all this coming together, the people who decide to jump in on it, have their little 2 cents, beware. Beware because they have their own skeletons in their own closets. Yeah, generational trauma, generational curses, it really can change your entire identity because the universe will not accept you for what you are not to be. The universe will never accept you for what you're not to be. This gets really deep, and a lot of people act like they're perfect. Like households act like they're perfect. You come from a two-parent household, so they want you to act like you have food on your table, and so that was enough. What can you complain about? And then you wind up looking like, okay, well, we ended up still like statistics as if we came from a single parent household. You know what I'm saying? And so you operating like the Cosbys, but behind closed doors, you know, you going through a lot of abandonment, abuse from the dad, yelling at the mom. Marvin Gaye went through the same thing, and he was unalived by his parent, his sabotaging dad, who was a complete hypocrite. He would wear dresses and heels and his mother's clothing, Marvin's mother's clothing, and Marvin grew up around this opposed preacher, man of God, like I've been complaining about. These are the biggest hypocrites. And it's not that it's the Christian who's corrupt, but it's the wolves in sheep's clothing. So just like when Jesus turned over the tables, he was upset because it was the biggest den of thieves. So long story short, Marvin Gaye's dad took his life because they got into altercation. He was being aggressive with his mom again, and it was perpetuated trauma. This man is in his 30s, and he had enough of it. So this is what happens when he took his son out, and it was like he was mad about him not singing gospel music or whatnot, and being sexual or whatever, and all the while how could he be like who you want him to be? He's a true reflection of who you were. You're a pastor, but you're cross dressing. You know what I'm saying? So he was a true reflection of that. He couldn't just act like You know what I'm saying? You could basically, every move you make is wrong at this point, you know? And so he broke down. Marvin lost everything. He had his charm, he had his gift, but he lost all his money. He was living in a van. And so because he didn't detach, he was tethered to that toxic lifeline from his parents, his enabling mother and his hypocritical dad. It gets deep. Let's finish these videos.
Hey, listen up. 5 signs that you are the generational curse breaker. Let's get it. Number 1, you go through suffering. From the day you can remember, you've been suffering. And the reason why you are suffering because God chose you. You have what it takes to break the generational curse. In the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48, to whom much is given, much is required. God done bless you with a lot of spiritual gifts. He done bless you with the power within, and you have what it takes. So that's number 1, guys. You endure a lot of suffering. Number 2, your family go against you. And the reason why your family go against you is because that God chose you. God chose you to break the generational curse. God done give you a lot of spiritual gift. You are blessed, and your family know that. You was born into a family that was cursed for generations to generation to generation, and God done put you in that family so you could break that generational curse, so you could show your family what love is, because God is love and love is God. Your family goes against you because they know God is with you. That's number 2.
His point is basically saying how come they can be the one? How come they can have that center of attention? And that's the generational thief who still wants their potential to be tapped. And even though they had a lot of kids and had a bunch of divorces and had everything they wanted, had their 3rd wedding, and they've had their prom and 6th baby shower, even though they've had everything they wanted, they still have not gotten enough. And you're born into this thinking like, look, I'm here to repay you for raising me. So I'm going to be the best that I can be. And instead they're so triggered. They're like, nah, I still want to have my cake and eat it too, basically.
That's number 2, your family goes against you. Number 3, you have a vision. Yes, the vision that God put in your heart is because he want to use you as a vessel to express his glory, to do his will. So the vision that you have is God's vision, so you could break this generational curse. But you got to be obedient. You have to listen to God, and you must have this relationship with God, because he want you to break this generational curse, because this generation curse been going on forever in your family, and he know you have what it takes because he chose you. So that's number 3, guys. You have a vision. Number 4, you're the first to do something big in your family. To give you an example, you're probably the first person to go off to college. You're probably the first person to start off a business. You're probably the first person that made over 6 figures. You was the first to do something big. Why? It's because God put the vision in your heart. He put the purpose with you, and he's with you at all times. So your family always going to be against you, and they're not going to be happy for you. So that's number 4, guys. You're the first to do something big. Number 5, you're the chosen one. You are destined for success. Many are called, just a few are chosen.
Mothers, you carry the heartbeat of the home, but that also makes you a direct target for the demons who monitor and rule procrastination. Belphegor, the demon of sloth, tells you to stay in survival mode. Do the bare minimum to get through the day. He convinces you that exhaustion is normal when really it's spiritual warfare draining your purpose. The next demon is called Asmodeus, and he's the demon behind hesitation. He distracts you with endless comparisons. You scroll, you compare, and before you know it, you've wasted the very energy you need to build your very household. The last demon is called Ashtaroth, and he's the demon behind hesitation. He makes you second guess everything about yourself. He plants hesitation in your mind until you delay teaching, guiding, or even correcting your own children. And in those delays, it carries a real cost. This isn't just about managing time. It's about protecting your legacy, because when a mother procrastinates, the entire house feels it. This is why I've designed a mini course. It's called the Spiritually Disciplined Leader, and it equips you to rise above the distraction, break the cycle of hesitation, and step into the authority God gave you as a mom. Disciplined mothers don't just survive the chaos, they bring order, clarity, vision, tone to the families that they were sent to nurture. So the question is, will you let procrastination lead your home, or will you let it lead with spiritual discipline? If you are a mom and this hit you like a ton of bricks, don't hesitate. The mini course is in the link in the bio. If you didn't know, now you know.
And that's going to wrap up tonight's video. I'm glad we could talk about some of the behind the scenes of when you go no contact. Everyone thinks you're just making a rash decision, and there's a lot of layers behind it. The last resort to break a generational curse, because you can't crack, you can't get success. You're always starting over. You have to always keep restarting and rebuilding, because you're going back and forth with family. You're making plans. Your vision is intertwined with those who are still carrying the curse. And so that's why you're going back and forth, back and forth. And so the chosen ones who are really thinking like, look, something's got to give. I can't keep tethering myself to these people. They're going to destroy me. They're going to destroy everything. So regardless of the label of your family, a stepmom, stepdad, brother, whatever, I have to cut ties. And instantly you will find that your success will be exponential, like overnight success. That's your confirmation that they were holding you back, that it was holding you back from developing. And that's the generational thief. Oftentimes you have baby talk, little baby talk. You don't really say your words completely. All that ends once you break off with the toxic people. So that's all I wanted to get clear, is that beware of the generational thieves, and don't get caught up rushing into starting your families right away, because if you make the wrong decisions, they are waiting to run and turn on you. So it's a lot easier. And even if you don't have kids, they'll try to treat your pets like they're kids and try to disregard and mistreat them, because you didn't have kids. So they're like, okay, well, this is my only chance. Let me act like I would if the boys are fighting and your cats are fighting instead, then how would they act? It's really weird how much bitterness is held in these people's hearts. Every chance they get to express that bitterness, you're like they're punching back, the scapegoat. So you guys understand where we're going with this. Don't want to be too long-winded. My name is Christina. I'll talk to you in the next one.